Well, welcome back to Mr. Obsolete's Vintage Homesteading. Today we're going to have a video in two parts. The first part's going to be an unboxing. The second is we're going to be talking about and demonstrating some antique equipment from way back in the past. So anyway, I know what this is, so we'll open it up and talk about it and stuff like that. And, you know, when you have special tools that you like for doing certain things, so I got a unboxing knife that I really like to use for doing this. And oh, look at that, boy! It just slices through there like. Always have the right tool. Okay, well, what we've got here today is a Stihl 020 AV Super, which was made in the early 70s. Top handle saw. You got a bar with it, and the original chain, which is got about 50% life left, and got a new one. It's a little long, so I'll have to shorten it. But anyway, this saw came from Dan at Kain Kustom Garage, which is another YouTube channel in the Pacific Northwest. He and I did some horse trading a while back, and so I was way behind on my projects, and so I was looking for another top handle saw. And he said, well, I've got that 020, and that'd be a good saw for you and stuff. So he volunteered to work on it, get it running for me. That was a mistake. This thing had tons of problems, and it really slowed down his work on a lot of other projects, but he stuck to it and got everything fixed on it. And so anyway, I'll put it together here soon and take it out and try it out and get some in-tree work that I want to do. So that's what it's designed for, with the top panel, so you can cut around. It's kind of quirky though for a little saw. So anyway, let's see the specs on it here. It's 32 cc to 35 cc depending on the year. And it's so weird when I go down to the Stihl dealer. There's a big one close to us, you know, and I go in, and I always have parts manuals on my saws, and when I'm working on older saws, I knew that they didn't want to look it up or didn't have the microfiche on it anymore, so I'd write down the part number and take it in and hand it to him, say, was any of this available? And so he'd look on the computer and say nope, Stihl doesn't even recognize these numbers. Well, how can you not recognize it? Just say, hey, it's obsolete, we don't have nothing for that piece of crap. So anyway, the other thing too, that when I go in to this local dealer there, I always get my arms get really tired. And you say, well, why is that? Well, if I'm standing in line there waiting to buy that spark plug, it's only $52. My hands are up because you know what's going to happen? You're going to get robbed. So anyway, the thing that'll be interesting on this, I only had just a few top handle saws until recently, and you got a couple of Poland Craftsman ones and Poolans, and they're just unreliable, even though one of them's almost brand new. That's why it's like brand new, because it's unreliable. And then I've got my two little McCulloughs, my Mini Mac 35 and my Mac 110, and so it'll be interesting to see if this is going to be the saw to equal or beat the power of my Mini Mac 35, because every other small saw I've used in that category, it just eats them for breakfast. So anyway, what we're going to do here real quick is just set the bar and chain on, so we'll be right back. Okay, well, we've got that on, and that bar doesn't need to be serviced. Dan may have done that for me too, I don't know, but anyway, sure did a nice job of cleaning it up. Anyway, it's supposed to weigh 9.7 pounds with a 12-inch bar, and it's got a 15.5 on it, so let's see how close they are. That's 11 pounds. So I think they're fibbers. So let's see how much the McCullough weighs, just as curious. Yeah, the Mini Mac weighs just a little bit over 9 pounds. And so you can see that it's got a shorter 14-inch bar on it. Anyway, this is a saw that I use the most of any top handle saw because it's light and it's very powerful. It's also extremely loud, so it'll be interesting to see how good the muffler is on this compared to this. Anyway, I'm gonna talk just a little more about the saw here. Dan shared some of the things that he had to do on it, and any service on these required a big bunch of tear down. Take the carburetor off, you have to tear the saw almost completely apart. And one feature that I thought was really dumb on it, spark plug wire goes right under the muffler, and it was burnt and shorted out. He had to replace that and put a new clutch drum and stuff on. Like I say, it went to a lot of trouble to get this saw up and running for me. So anyway, when somebody does something really nice for you, make sure you do something nice for them in return. So anyway, the next part of our video is going to be about vintage machinery, mechanical marvels. So we'll be back when we're ready. It's late summer, and so all the crops are coming in. We got cherries and apples and a lot of other things, broccoli, cauliflower coming on. Anyway, we're going to use some vintage equipment to process it, and I'm going to start out with this, a cherry pitter, and the different machinery that we're going to show for the different operations. I call them mechanical marvels because that's what they are. You know, some of these were designed and built from the 1880's on, and there's really no improvement on equipment today other than electric motors run it and stuff instead of doing it by hand. But the basic designs are still good. Just imagine that people had to actually think this stuff up instead of having a computer and a group think to make something. So, well, this mechanical marvel cherry pitter is a new standard brand. It was made from 1915 to 1925. I've looked at a bunch of different ones, and this one is one of the best I've ever seen. I mean, it pits the cherry really good and doesn't tear the meat all up like a lot of them do. It's made out of cast iron and has a light nickel plating on it. And so in here, we'll show you in a bit, it has a plunger with some teeth on it. It'll come down and pushes a pit out of the cherry. The most efficient way is to use the top here where the stem went. So we'll put that in here. A little hard to get out of there, but anyway, you can see that there's a little bit of a tear there. The cherry is almost 100% intact. Very little of the meat is taken off with a pit. And then once they're processed like this, we'll put them in our vintage food hydrator, dehydrator I should say. So we'll run a few more through here. Here's some of the pits, and you can see there's just a tiny bit of the flesh on the pit still. Okay, how this operates is there's this rod through here. It has teeth on it. Like I say, you put the cherry where the stem is up, and it goes down and pushes a pit out. You can see this does a really good job. It goes down and pushes a pit out, lifts it up, and you can just take it off. And if you're doing these a lot, you can actually fill up this whole thing and just push them in and just have a catch bowl and just push them out too. But anyway, there again you can see the little teeth there, and it cuts it right out. And there's all the pits, and you can see almost no flesh on them. So anyway, we'll move on to our next mechanical marvel. Now the next device is going to be an apple peeler. This one is a Reading standard. It was patented in 1878 and put into production in 1880. And this is the longest running apple peeler ever made. They were made up until about a year ago. Anyway, I'll put an apple on it and run it through and stuff, and then we'll come over and talk about how it operates. Okay, well, we're going to put our apple on here. And we'll start to crank it. And the blade will come around here, on the other side here. These apples are a little too soft and I don't want to stay on there, but let's try another one here. There we go. Quick and easy that is. Okay, we're going to come over here and show you how this thing operates. This is pretty interesting. Okay, now these prongs here is where the apple goes on. This arm here has a blade in it. It has a gear drive here and the gears through the whole thing to operate it. So it has a cam built into here too, so when this is turning, this comes over and it drops down and right against the apple, and then it starts to peel it as it goes around. And when it gets over here, it pushes away, and this little arm right here comes out and pushes the apple off. I'd say that's pretty ingenious for something that was made in 1880. So anyway, we got another one here we'll show you. Okay, well, this is a different apple peeler here. This one is a Sinclair Scott that was made from the 1880s until about 1940. This one I've never used it before, but the thing is different. The other one that I had a kind of a straight blade. This has a round blade and I've never sharpened it, so we'll just have to try it and see how it works. So anyway, push it on here just like the other one. Yeah, it needs a blade sharpened, but you get the idea. Okay, well, this one is built completely differently, but it has all the gears there again to operate it. The apple goes on here, and the blade is, like I say, circular here. And so you can see when it comes over, you put the apple on when the blade's out of the way. As it comes down, then it will start cutting on the bottom of the apple there. So this one doesn't push the apple off like the other one. It's not quite as exotic. Really interesting. So I'm going to have to figure out how to sharpen this round tooth here, cutter. But anyway, we'll move on. Well, this is a more modern version, although they've been making these since the 20s. This is a fairly modern one. Anyway, what it does is you have the teeth here for putting the apple on. Push it on here. It has a worm drive here, and the cutting tooth is right over here, spring loaded. So anyway, you start cranking on it, and it gets over here to start cutting it. This has a neat feature. You can make these into slices, and this is really nice. You can dry them in a dehydrator. Have really nice apple slices all year long. And so on this you can pull this lever here, pull this back, and takes the core out too. So anyway, just a little more modern and improved over some of the older stuff there. Yum. Okay, well, here again you got the spikes for the apple, the shaft with the worm drive on it, and when you turn this, it moves forward. And then over here you got the spring-loaded arm. It's got the knife in it for cutting the skin off. And like I say, when it gets pushing it through here, this piece here takes the core out. And then when you're done, just pull it back like that and pop the core out. So. Well, we're at the end of our exciting video of today. So anyway, I sharpened the blade on this, so I'm going to give it a quick spin and see how it does. Ooh, that works a whole lot better. Anyway, be right back. Well, for the last part of the video, let's see if the little Stihl runs here. Works great. Remember, vintage is best. We'll see you on the next exciting video.